So here in 2018, I mean, in terms of women in technology and the role that sexism plays, do you think we're stuck, or are you stagnant, or are we actually moving ahead and making progress?
I think lately, I think we're just starting to move ahead and making progress. I think we have a lot of women in C-suite roles at different tech companies in the Valley. Here at Scribd, we have several women in high roles, and the head of our engineering department is a woman. So I think that we're, kind of trying to move forward. I think it's slow going, but I'd like to see it move faster, but I think it's getting there.
I'm interested in your experience, in terms of, sexism that you yourself have experienced, what have you encountered? How has that gone for you?
Sure. So in my, I had a previous job. I used to work at CNET, and I had a CNET TV show, and the comments on that show were horrendous, and it was only because I was a woman, not because of the content of the show.
User comments from viewers?
Yeah, exactly. And so we posted the show on CNET itself and on YouTube, and some of the comments were so bad that we had to turn off the comments completely, which I'm not sure was the right way to go. Like, I think, sometimes addressing the comments straight on to let people know that you're a human, you're not just a woman, is a way to tackle it. But, that was my own experience, and unfortunately, I'm not the only one who's had a similar experience to that.
Well, what would you like to see happen in terms of, improving the picture for women in technology? What changes would you like to see?
Sure, I would love to see more women founders. I would love to see more women VCs who, are investing in female-led companies, and I think that that's the only way that we can make things change, that we can make products that, apply to all kinds of people. I think that, only by having different perspectives can we create, a world that we would, all want to live in.
Right. Do you think that the issue of women in technology, I mean, there's on one hand, there's the issue of the pipeline. The other issue is actually cultural resistance and/or sexism. Is either one of those greater than the other, or are they just both contributing factors?
I think they're both contributing factors. I think that it's a chicken and egg. I think that it's, people are discouraged, just getting into the pipeline, and then once they're there, there's no place for them, and they don't see, similarities. So I think it's both contributing to it.
Well, great. Thank you very much.
Sure.
So here here in 2018, in terms of women in technology, and sexism, in terms of women in technology, are you seeing change here, or you feel like we're sort of stuck and stagnant?
Yeah, I'm starting to see change, and I think that we're starting to have a lot of the conversations that we need to have, and with that, we'll see even more change. I'm optimistic. I know it won't be as fast as we would all like it to happen, but as long as people are willing to have these conversations and be open, I think we're going to start to see a lot more change in the industry.
You mentioned that you had encountered some sexism in tech as yourself, and I know that you are a CEO of a fintech startup. So can you talk about what you've encountered? What have you dealt with?
Yeah, the problem I see is that there isn't enough pattern recognition for women being successful in tech right now. And so as a woman CEO, I sit in a lot of meetings where comments are made just because people aren't aware and they haven't seen women be successful in the space, and so they're not sure what to say yet. Again, I think with these open dialogues, we'll start to see change in that space, and people will start to be more aware of the comments that they're making.
What do you think needs to happen? If you could, give some advice to participants out there, what would you like to see happen in terms of improving the role of women in technology?
I would like to see more women get involved. I think a lot of women opt out without seeing the full picture, and I think that if people just take that first step, that we can get more women in tech. It's hard to say that there's only one challenge or one thing to fix. I think there's a lot of different pieces of the puzzle that different stakeholders can be a part of, and as these small changes get to be made all around the industry and the ecosystem, we'll start to see some bigger changes. But I think women opting in and then really seeing some leadership where there's women helping women, men helping women, and we're having dialogue with both men and women together, not just one side of the conversation.
Great, thank you very much.
Yeah.
So here we are in 2018. I know that, as a woman in tech, do you feel like things are actively changing, or do you feel we're kind of stuck and stagnant in terms of the role of women in technology?
My background is very matriarchal. I have always worked in women-run businesses. I was in a sorority in college. I come from a family that had female business owners. So I've seen women do it all. And then I changed to tech. And luckily at the same time, things are changing for women in tech. So that's my answer. I do see things changing, especially as we learn how to code. And I'm a founder of a book recommendation service called In the Stacks. And I feel really supported by the female founder community and by the NASDAQ Entrepreneurial Center. So yes, I feel that things are definitely changing. I can elaborate, but I don't know. Do you want me to?
That's okay. No, it's all good.
Okay.
And now, in terms of, have you encountered sexism in tech yourself? In terms as a woman in technology?
I have not really encountered sexism in tech, but I have in the literary world and in the digital agency advertising world. So it's not just tech; it's all industries. It's Hollywood. It's politics. As we discovered with the Me Too and Time's Up phenomenons in movements. I mean, it's pervasive in society. It's just, are you going to let it affect you? And I don't let it affect me because I wasn't raised to be a victim. I feel that you just have to ignore it. It can come from men and women. Just ignore, any challenges or turn them around and make them work in your favor. And just keep your, focus on doing what you really are here to do, which is to build your product. So fundraising is a little different. I could talk to you about that.
Well, what about? If in terms of the sexism you do mention, what do you feel needs to happen? Like, what would you like to see happen there?
I'd like to see more women become trained as coders, more women in STEM education, and just more women learning, the traditional math and science fields in going into those sort of careers. Sorry, people are looking, so I'm just like, So I'd like to see more women coders. I feel that it's happening slowly, and I don't think it's because it's not a welcoming environment. I think it's just because they don't see other women doing it. But the more that they do see it, the more women will be attracted to what they see already happening. As far as funding goes, that is something that I think is also changing. More women are becoming angel investors, and hopefully, more funding opportunities will increase as there are more women funders. I feel uncomfortable, taking money from men. I think that's why a lot of...
You say you feel uncomfortable?
I would feel uncomfortable taking money from a man. I think that's why, who I don't know.
Right.
So maybe there is that barrier. I feel that a lot of the women I see funded are funded by their husbands, or, it's so that, like, when it comes down to the money, there is still a lot of sexism, but that's just it's just a reflection of society, at large. And as far as harassment, no, I've never been harassed. Actually, without even knowing it, I gave my first pitch to a couple of men. This was at Book Expo in New York at the Javits Center, and there was a pitch competition, and I didn't even I'm like, okay, I'm pitching, and I realized much later, my goodness, I just pitched for the first time, and it was to men, and it did not make a difference at all. They were interested, in my idea, and it didn't really make a difference what gender they were.
Thank you very much.
Okay.